Hey everyone, this is Steve Weintraub with Collider, and I am here in San Diego at our Comic-Con studio. And I'm obviously with the folks behind The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. I'm like, I'm gonna skip. What the hell is on your phone? Oh, if you can use the mic, please.
See you in court. I love you.
But where did this come from?
I love you. There.
Paul was always the one. The very first Christmas card I got, the very first birthday card I would get, Valentine's Day. He was just that guy. He was so sweet. He was such a good guy.
How did you come to know each other?
I ran into him with a friend of mine, and he had something going on, and I called him out on it, and we just became friends like instantly.
How long ago was this?
When I met him? Oh, geez, 10 years ago, maybe.
Have you ever worked together?
No, but I'll tell you a funny story later about a script that he wrote, which is a crazy script, but I don't want to say it on air. But he's great. He was such a sweet guy. And I just watched, we were talking about his documentary.
I just watched it.
It's amazing, right?
That's what we were just
It's
talking about.
fantastic. And I love the way that he was sort of trying to take over, but not like, you know what I mean? It's just fascinating. But if you're a fan of his work, it's really illuminating.
Yeah.
His backstory.
It all
There's
makes
so much
sense.
there
Yeah.
that he never talked about.
Yeah. And then he started doing interviews as himself for a second in that one part. And then it kind of went downhill. So he did every interview as Pee-wee Herman. So he was hiding his life. Plus he was in public. He was being someone else. Like it's a crazy story.
So I got a million things I want to talk to you guys
And
about.
you know, in many ways, Carol and Daryl were being someone else in this season of Daryl Dixon.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves because what you need to realize is everyone who's coming in.
Are we? Are we that different? I'm not sure we're that different.
So I've been asking everybody the same two first questions, and I'm going to ask you guys. I'm obsessed with getting more people to see movies in movie theaters. I'm done with people on their phones. Fuck that. So I'm just curious. Sorry for my language. I'm just curious for all of you. Do you have a favorite movie theater?
I'm going to be honest here. I have a 10-year-old. So it's the AMC at Universal City. And I know it's not, the Pantages, but it gets a lot of people. You sit in a crowd with a lot of people, and it's a hometown theater. So I'm going to go with that.
I've heard that answer from many people.
I'd say the Angelica Theater. That's I've seen a lot of great movies there with a lot of cool people. Probably that one.
I'm sort of in Scott's camp. I got two young girls, and it's AMC Grove.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with that theater.
Yeah,
I'm a New Beverly guy, but mainly because it's such a great old theater, and I love the programming. It's great. It's one of my faves.
I would like any theater that's next to like a 24-hour diner.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have been coming in talking about theaters that serve food. I'm not really that guy. If I'm watching a serious movie, I don't want people having a burger around.
I'm with
me.
you on that. I don't like that.
I will say, oh God, I can't even remember the name of it, but it's gone. The theater in South Pasadena.
I don't know.
On Fair Oaks is a beautiful old theater that's now a church, but it was amazing.
Other question I'm asking everyone before we get into getting to talk about your show. We're at Comic-Con, and a lot of people here collect things. And I'm curious, is there something that you guys collect? And if you could walk on the convention floor, what are you looking for to buy?
Oh, you're looking at me. The thing that I've come to collect, I collect a lot of things. Discman, Sony Discman, zines from the 30s and 40s, which were a thing. That's where, like Isaac Asimov and Frank Herbert and everything, that's where they started. Galaxy Magazine from the 40s and 50s.
You might be able to get some of that downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
Like that actually could be here.
Yeah, but the Glendale paperback, the show, you can't beat it. So yeah, I'm going to be quiet.
The only thing I've ever collected is punk rock 45s. So I don't know. I don't know if they're down there.
That might be a tough one at this con.
I don't have anything I collect that I would find here. I don't have anything I collect, really. I'm not a collector.
I collect everything.
Yeah.
I have a
Greg
I have a
wins.
pretty big collection, movie posters and props and things like that.
Do you wait? Do you rival Guillermo, or are you?
I would say mini Guillermo, because he has 2 houses full. I only have 1 house full, but it's some good stuff. Lost in Space.
I mean, you have a
and
Jaws,
I do have a shark in my house, yes, but
a great white shark.
but yes, but down on the floor here, Scott and I went around the other day. I like looking at all the collectible toys, the detailing on the sculptures, like the NECA stuff. I like the likenesses. If the likeness is great, I really love that. If the likeness is off, then it doesn't really interest me as much.
I think I might be interested in maybe some costume illustration. Yeah, some first edition, limited edition costume illustration.
One of the things about this
Prints.
year at Con, which is really cool, is a lot of the studios aren't on the floor, and it has opened up the convention to a lot more indie dealers and people that I've never seen here, and it's reverting back to before the studios took it over, and it's awesome. It really is. I know the studios get people in, but it's these indie dealers and people that really are the lifeblood of a Comic-Con. Anyway, jumping into why I get to talk to you guys. I just read that it's the 4th and final season of the show. How early on did you guys know it would be like 4 years? Like, how did this come about in terms of figuring out what the last season would be?
Well, the first 2 seasons were sort of conceived as a unit, the French seasons, so seasons 1 and 2. And then when we were going to move on and take the story somewhere else and go with a brief stop in England, go to Spain, we started talking about a sort of another 2-season story that would be the next part of these guys' journey in Europe. And as we were talking about that, sort of it coalesced with the idea that might be a good way to culminate the European adventure of Daryl and Carol. So it's sort of it's well formed in that we've got a great 2-season story we did in France. We're going to do another 2-season story in Spain, which is kind of supersized, even bigger than the first 2, because we're doing 15 episodes altogether in Spain, having done 12 in France. And it seemed like that sort of 4-season arc was going to be great and a good place to leave them before the universe figures out what the next moves might be for these characters.
I'm very curious. You mentioned the first 2 seasons were 12 episodes, and I guess 3 and 4 are going to be 15. How early on did you know it was going to be 15? Was it story related that's why you did 15, or did AMC say we'd like 15?
Honestly, we always wanted to do more. So we always felt like we had story enough to do more, and that's part of the navigation of sort of, all the business parts of making a show, how many they need, how many they want, how many we can afford to make. So in the first 2 seasons, it was agreed 6 and 6. And in season 3, we continued to push for more. And then we ended up being able to make 7 in season 3. And then they agreed for season 4 to have us make 8. So it was an ongoing conversation from the beginning. We always, honestly, we always felt like 6 is a hard number to cram as much story as we wanted to tell into.
Well, one of the things I commend you on in the first 2 seasons is that there's like no wasted scenes, like everything. And it's like, I've watched all of The Walking Dead, and like they're sometimes not
Easy.
as tight, not as
Okay,
tight
careful.
as your first 2 seasons. Like it was very good. And I really liked a lot the fact that it was in Europe. It just like that location adds a lot. I'm very curious for the 2 of you. I don't know if this is going to be the very end of I don't know what the future holds, but there is the possibility that this upcoming season could be the last. I mean, I don't know. But so what is it like going in knowing that this might be the end? Or maybe you know more and I don't. You know what I mean?
No, I've always put so much work into the show and so much thought and care into the show, not just my character, but as a show. I've always fought for certain things, a certain quality of things. I was there in the beginning when that group of people made it lightning in a bottle. And then I went through the seasons, and I watched how it changed, and I watched new characters come on and old characters that were part of that beginning get killed off. And so I've always wanted to find that quality, you know. I feel like the show that we've made in Europe, both in France and Spain, feels like that original show. And I started that way. I always wanted it to end that way, and I feel like we've done that with this show. I have a satisfied feeling. So for it to go the way that it's going, I'm not mad at it, because I feel like, you know, to get that as a young actor and have done other things and not feel that, but to experience that as an actor with a team, like a true family team, I always wanted to find that again. So that's what I've always been looking for. And so I feel like we've come full circle, just me personally, as a work ethic, as a going to work every day. I feel like I found that again. So I'm satisfied with that portion of it. So, and I feel like the story has the way that it ends in a way that you'll
know how season 4 ends.
We were filming now, so
Started filming season 4 when we've talked about how it ends.
Wait a minute. What? How does it end? What do you know?
we know the same thing. We always know the same thing.
We have an
We're
idea.
all
We're
the same
still writing.
emails, sweetheart.
Just yeah,
But it's satisfying. It's hard to explain, but it's a satisfying.
I have a follow up in a second, but I want to hear from you first, Melissa, if you don't mind, and in terms of like what it's, you know, what I just asked.
Well, there's still a ways to go, and I feel I just want to experience too much to. I don't want to arrive before I get there. That's just one of these things. I try to live like that, because I say that to myself a lot, because I usually end up arriving long before I get there, and then when I'm there, or I just don't go. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I just really want to be in the moment from here on to the end, just really savoring these moments with this great group of people, being grateful for the people that I have worked with, these very talented artists, creative people, the writers, and I just want to experience that and not get too far ahead of myself thinking about whatever the end means.
It is true.
Or
though.
a
Like,
completion.
you don't know
or-
what it's going to feel like yet.
No, and I don't want that to get in. There's too much work to do.
Sure, but you guys
You know.
have inhabited these characters and these roles for a very long time. It's really like it's so rare to play characters like this on television for so long. And I'm just curious, like for both of you, have you always envisioned an ending and where you want each of your characters to be, and how much are you discussing with the guys in terms of what those final scenes might be if this is the end of you playing these characters?
Here you go.
You go ahead.
I've always said the same thing in interviews since day one. Like they say, how do you want your character to end? And I've always said, he walks up a mountain, a little dog follows him up over the mountain, he gets smaller, he disappears, and people go, whatever happened to that guy? You know, that's how I always wanted it to end. What was the other part of the question?
Have you talked about it with the guys in terms
Oh
of...
yeah, no, we talk about it all the time.
yeah. I mean, we talked about it a lot, and I'll just say, like, from my perspective, we're trying to come up with the best ending for the show that is called Daryl Dixon, the 4 years that we will have done of that show. I don't think of it, again, this goes into Scott's territory, but like, I don't think of it as the end of the characters necessarily, or the end of their stories. I think of it as, you know, closure on this particular period of time that we've told the story of these two characters sort of getting over there and traveling through Europe and coming out with the resolution that's surprising and satisfying, but also kind of has an open end to it.
I'm going to ask you a question as sort of like one of the stewards of, or the steward of Walking Dead. What is the status of like what's going on in terms of the development of like, what is AMC looking for? What are you trying to do? Like, you know, because there's still so many people that watch, and I'm just curious. It's not like AMC's, I'm sure they don't want to just be like, okay, we're done. Like, you know.
No, I mean, you have plans and then you have experiments. You sort of tend to them both. And that's what we're doing right now. We have some directions that we're moving in, but there's a lot of different pieces to it. And then there's some really experimental stuff we're doing as well. There's sort of like the classic stuff, and then these smaller, kind of weirder experiments that we're in. But we're, Robert Kirkman created The Walking Dead as the zombie movie that never ends. And we want to fulfill that one way or another. And the thing about Robert Kirkman's vision of it is it isn't about the walkers, obviously. It's about the characters. So that means one way or another, like to keep telling stories with
We're
these
gonna
characters.
get you one day.
Yeah, I see. Like, I know you can't say anything, or maybe you won't. But like,
Well, I
mu-
definitely won't.
yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Yeah.
how? Because you know what I mean. Like, I don't. Anyway, I'll stop because I know you're. I know you're not going to give it up.
You know what? I think Melissa already said it, and I think the audience is there too. Let's not arrive before we get there.
Again, I've been watching the show for a very long time. Greg, I'm going to look at you. What exactly for you is it like? Because you're very involved in this, and I'm just curious for people that are like, what exactly are you working on at all times on Walking Dead? You know what I mean? Like, how does it work for you between directing and like creatures? Like, talk a little bit about what your involvement is now. What excites you still about the series?
I mean, it's all encompassing. Going from the original show and then coming over to Daryl Dixon, my initial, responsibility was to provide some sort of cohesiveness and also to sort of kind of educate David so that, the rules of the world and sort of be a sounding board for him. On the original show, when the directors would come in, I was sort of the person that they would come to about like, oh, how does this work and how does that work? So, I feel like having been as involved for such a long period of time, it's kind of like the way Norman and Melissa treat their characters. They know their characters because they've lived with them for a long time. I know what the show is about. I understand the DNA of the show because I was there from day one, from literally a year before the show actually started production. So I love the idea that I can sort of champion what I believe is DNA of the show and collaborate with David and Scott. And we've had a great time.
I mean, that's
really
been
good
great
time.
for me coming in as relatively, certainly among this group, I'm the new guy. And so it's been great from the beginning, first of all, to have Greg and be able to bounce things off of him and try to make sure that we can continue to do new things and different things in this world, even after it's been around so long. But also with Norman and Melissa, of course, like it's a great benefit to have two great actors playing these two iconic characters and try to build a world around that. So it gives you a great head start if you're someone like me who's coming in who has things I'm interested in doing and stories I'm interested in telling, but I'm new to this particular world. I haven't been in the Walking Dead universe before. This, of course, now I feel like an old hand a little bit because I've been here for 3 years. But at the beginning, that was really valuable. And I think that's part of, it gave the show a certain energy, I think, because there was a combination of sort of loyalty and to the legacy and faithfulness to the inheritance of the show and the characters. But there was also some new energy that I brought, that Dan Percival, who's one of our main directors, brought, that some of the other writers brought. So there was a great meeting of old and new, which in a way, not to go crazy, but like that's sort of the theme of the show too. Like going to Europe, we're constantly sort of telling stories that exist in this space of like old meeting new, old world, new world, old, the traditional ways and the ways of the apocalypse. So I think there's been kind of a simpatico to the whole thing that's really been great.
I'm curious for the two of you. In all the seasons, including Daryl Dixon, which shot or sequence, when you think back, was the backbreaker? Was there one that you're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Because you guys have done
good or bad.
Both good and bad, because you've done tons of action. You've done all sorts of stuff on this show. You've been put through the ringer. And I'm just curious, when you think back, like, was there one that was especially challenging?
For me or for the
you,
show?
For you personally.
The Glenn death was I didn't love. I you know what I mean? I didn't want to see him go. And it was also the other aspects of that I didn't love. Good.
That's a microphone.
I turn everything into a fidget spinner. I just can't help it. Good for me personally. God, there's so many good ones. Like I can say maybe one or two bad ones, or I can say like 100 good ones. I think Rick and I in the hole, that was I loved that scene because we worked on it so much together, and having like a partner, like working with that's rare to find that long, Merle, that one you directed with Merle, that was a good one. Many with Melissa, like a ton of good scenes with Melissa. I like Cherokee Rose a lot. There's a bunch. There's a lot.
Melissa, was there one that was really tough for you?
I think Sophia coming out of the barn was really tough. Partly because she was in school. Madison was in school, so I was doing it to a tennis ball on a stick. That was a little challenging, but even when she was there, it was still very challenging. It was highly emotional. And then the Grove was such a wonderful turning point for Carol's arc, and such a great script. Scott Gimple. And Angela work on that as well? Was she?
I would say that's just me, but I love
Was that
Angela.
just you?
Yeah.
No, it was just, couldn't remember. Yeah. Beautiful script.
But Angela did an episode called Still that was pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, she did quite a few really, really good scripts too. Those are the first that come to mind. Again, there's just like Norman said, there's so many. If I could just sit here and think for a minute, but those are the first two that are just immediate.
There's so we were talking about this like a minute ago between rooms. Like this show has we beat MASH. You know what I mean? Like to have a show that has this many people interested in it that goes this long is like, it's so rare.
It is basically impossible.
It's
this show
crazy.
won the lottery that people never win.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's been amazing just going through the years and coming onto this new spinoff and coming across fans in other places, in other countries, who it's multi-generational. Like the parents are watching it, now the children of those parents are watching it, but they were children when they started watching it, having children that are, it's just, to be a part of that from the very beginning is, or at any time, like a lot of the people coming in from Spain, they know what they're getting into. It's planted into pop culture. It's planted into the history of television, and coming from television into new media and streaming. If television falls away, it was a part of something big and cross generations and cross platforms and just
It's crazy.
Yeah, I was in Spain visiting set, and Andy Lincoln hopped down from the United Kingdom, and we were going to dinner in this little town, de Compostela. What is Santiago de Compostela? And just Andy's just getting mobbed by all these people, and none of them could speak English, and yet they're looking at him like he's a family member. And it really was a moment of just like, the reach of the show was, I don't know, it was really, really incredible.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like for the two of you to walk through an airport. There's fans all around the world. It must be crazy. I just realized we're just about out of time. I have to ask you a question, which I really should have asked earlier, which is season 3 is about to come out. And obviously we should tease season 3. So what do you want to tell people about season 3?
I tried
Fucking great. It's fucking great. It's a Western. It's fucking great.
It's very influenced by, I mean, it's influenced by all these Spanish things, but one of the things that Jason and I did, who writes and sort of designs the show with the stories with me, is we sat down and watched a lot of Sergio Leone movies that were shot in Spain, because we were just interested in like, okay, that's a cool kind of storytelling, and it's made in the place that we're going to be making our show. And so that influenced a lot of the story all the way through. And there's a particular episode that's like a straight up, like
What episode number?
Episode 5 is
There
a
we
straight up, like, let's do a Sergio Leone story. But even the elements of the story earlier on, they're strangers in a strange town. Like sort of, there's lots of echoes of Man with No Name kind of movies, the Clint Eastwood movies, and they're strangers in this strange sort of frontier town who get sucked into the sort of the drama that's going on there that parallels their own needs and goals. And so there were lots of themes and templates that we were inspired by that came from Westerns in general, and specifically spaghetti Westerns.
And you know what? You were talking about how movies are so important to you. Cinema is served this season. There is a character who argues for cinema, essentially.
He wanted to be a filmmaker, and he's preserved this little theater. So there's actually a lot of talk about that.
I'm very curious. My last question, because they're going to kill me, is season 3 and 4 both like a Western, like, you know what I mean? Or is season 4 like a different sort of tone genre?
Season 4 has a slight difference in tone. I mean, they're of a piece, but season 3 is more focused on sort of really emulating some of those aspects of Westerns and spaghetti Westerns. It includes a rescue mission that's very sort of John Ford like. Season 4, it's of a piece with that, but it evolves a bit, and we just started making season 4, so that's also evolving still. But I think it's a little bit different.
I could ask you a million other questions, but I'm out of time. I'm
Cool.
just going to say, I really thank you for coming in.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you for so many years of entertainment. And I'm sad that it's coming to a close, but I'm looking forward to watching.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we're not
man.
done
Thank
yet.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very
More to
much.
come.